Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam. Welcome to Tuesday. We used to call it Arranged Marriage Tuesday, where we'd pick a name out of a hat, two names out of a hat, and we just arrange your marriage. We always joked about it, and then I always got very serious inquiries like, you should do that. I think it would be good. We're waiting. The Wisdom of the Sages dating app is coming. I think whoever takes that mission seriously, they're going to make a fortune.
Okay.
That's all. I got another thing. I woke up so sore. I did jujitsu for the first time in a long time last night. Mm-hmm. I woke up, it's just, there's nothing more exhilarating than fighting another man. That is just like, it exhausts you to the very like they're trying to kill you and you're trying to kill them. And it's just like, you just fight till you can't fight any longer. And then it's like the animal kingdom, truthfully. You're fighting a gazelle or you're fighting a wildebeest. And then one of the animals just gives in and the other one kills them. That's what jiu-jitsu is. It's a fight to the death. It's the Nature is Metal Instagram channel. That's what it is. And I cannot walk today. Just wrestling big in shape. If you fight a 40-year-old man, Kastuba, they still got like 16 years on you.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating, Raghunath.
That's where I'm at this morning. I can't move my body.
I'm glad you spent your niche under Triodicide doing that.
I did. It sounded like a judgment there. It sounded like Mara. Did you hear that judgment? I celebrated the day before. And we had a very Krishna conscious morning and I did my puja.
Okay.
And then I had a miserable day dealing with a plumber.
Okay, Raghunath, the minutia of your life is very fascinating, but maybe we ought to get to the nugget or the announcements.
It's all Krishna conscious. It's all the Bhagavatam, Kastuba. Can't you hear me? All right. This is our nugget for the day. Ready?
Yeah.
The materialistic dream that things will be better when as many humans as possible can dive into the ocean of material choices, goods, and lifestyles has failed. Hiding in unnatural happiness.
That's the name of the book.
Oh, that's the name of the book.
Yeah. This is
Kostuba sent me this nugget. So okay. I was wondering what that final statement was. Yeah. The name of the book is Hiding in Unnatural Happiness. So that's a quote by David Swami.
Read that again. Yeah, read that.
Ready? You don't tell me to read that again. I'm telling you to read it again.
I'll read it if you want me to. Just one of us. Let's read it
I just don't like to be told read it again.
Okay.
But yes, I'm going to read it again. The materialistic dream that things will be better when as many humans as possible can dive into an ocean of material choices, goods, and lifestyles has failed. That's the dream of materialism. What do you think?
Well, it's presented that way. I mean, I don't know how many people think about it, but there's no adult in the room, that is like we would say like there's no Brahminical influence in society, right? That is stepping back and saying, all these things are not making us happy, and actually they're causing destruction. They're causing destruction of our environment. They're causing even destruction of our own bodies and destruction of our mental peace. But Netflix, you can get it, right? You can pay for it. You can get your variety of choices. It can fill in your time, but it's not actually going to make you happy, And all the other varieties of things, we walk into these massive, department stores, or all kind of stores are just like massive now, right? Your supermarket is like this super massive thing, and now they're not only selling like, food there, but they're selling
Underwear.
so many, clothes and
Isn't it
and
weird?
toys.
That wasn't a thing when we were little. You couldn't get underwear and bananas in the same store. Now you can.
Yeah.
This is a great society we created. What are you complaining about?
What to speak of Amazon? Like if when we were kids, if someone would have said, just with the flick of a switch, tomorrow you can, or the next day you can have something like anything, at your door
delivered.
You think, wow, what a fantastic, progression.
Right, haven't we moved ahead?
This is good. Yeah. But we keep getting these things, and it's not. Just look at us. We're just fighting with each other. And we're angry and depressed, and we're more ODing on drugs than ever before. But you don't have to go to the drug dealer in the park to get your drugs anymore. You can get those
delivered online.
Yeah, you can get those delivered. So it's a fact. I think deep down we all get it. But we don't have the strength. We don't have the willpower to like stand up and say, okay, well, what are the moves that need to be made, and do we have the strength to make them?
All right. So you're making this is a big statement right here, because in all confession,
yeah,
I used Amazon Prime yesterday to order vacuum cleaner bags, and they're going to be delivered today by noon. Okay. It's a pretty impressive thing. I didn't have to go 30 minutes to West Stockbridge to get these vacuum cleaner bags. There they are. Are you saying we need a total collapse of the infrastructure of what we've created to get back to simple living?
Well, I'm saying that we need an adult in the room, and that means people that are wise, people that slow down, study deeply, live a pure life, get deeper realizations about life, can articulate them well, can convince people of them, of the value of them, so that we can move forward in a positive direction. If we don't have that, then it's going to collapse. Yeah.
Are you that adult?
I was hoping you were.
I sometimes feel like Kostuma's here. Zip it up.
No, but that's what a Brahmana is, right? That's what a Brahmana is meant to be. They're meant to play that role in society, and society is meant to recognize the need for that, honor that role. That there's some people that are living simple and going deep into wisdom, living it, and articulating it.
I wonder.
So I think that's what David Ritchaswamy is doing here with this statement,
right.
And writing his book. He's saying, "Okay, come on, we got to wake up."
Right. It's not like the pain of existence is going away. We're getting things when we want things, but
didn't do it.
It didn't do it. That didn't ultimately make me blissful. It's like when you go into a mall. Where is the happiness walking? There is like a jolt of maybe happiness shopping.
Okay.
But it's all in the hope to enjoy a product, which is not a tangible thing that we talk about a lot in the yoga system. We talk about be here now, pleasure. Don't live in the past. Don't live in the future. That type of pleasure from we're going to go and get this is a hope to enjoy. It's not actually enjoyment. It's enjoyment all within the mind.
Yeah.
So
even I was going to say, well, even what you were mentioning, like vacuum cleaner bags, it was just convenient for you not to have to get in a car and drive a long distance to get, this vacuum cleaner bag. Now, do we even need the vacuum cleaner? That's like a whole other thing, right? Like, but like in other words, you only need vacuum cleaners because you have carpets. You don't have like a rug that you can shake outside or something like that. So you carpet things. Wall to wall. Do we need that?
We've complicated life.
Yeah.
But we've made it a little complicated.
We made it complicated, but even still, like you know, there was a time like when we were kids where someone in the family would have had a list of things that they need to shop for. You know, they wouldn't have run off to get vacuum cleaner bags. They would have had, you know, a system in their weekly schedule where they would shop for things that are needed. And that, and maybe even that act of thinking in that way and categorizing and writing it down and not just having the convenience like, oh, just hit the button and get it. It was just part of a way of like culturing, you know, a mind and a service and an attitude. And you know, nowadays, you know, like for instance with maps, you know, it used to be that to get from one place to another, you opened up a map.
You have to look at a map.
You have to look at it.
You have to listen when
you
someone's
start to
explaining
learn.
direct. People still are trying to give me directions. I was like, stop it. I don't need your directions. I'm not writing this on the back of an envelope. I have a phone. I'm an adult. I'll figure this out. Just give me the address and let me go on my way.
Yeah, and then you got
Hey,
a little
go left
machine
on
that's telling you
Smith
where to
Street.
go. Yeah, but people would learn how to read a map and begin to learn like more about the land where they live and how to get from one place to another and so on. But now we just follow that, you know, that mechanical instruction telling us where to
Go
go.
left, go right, go left, go right.
We never
Rerouting.
know where to go. We used to memorize phone numbers, right? We used to actually memorize.
Don't even know my kids' phone numbers.
Yeah, I know.
It's a
So anyway,
problem.
it's not
You
making
know
us
what?
better. It's not making us happier.
Interesting side point too. You got to pay for this stuff. The price of those vacuum cleaner bags is not just the price of the vacuum cleaner bags. You got to pay for the massive warehouses that are now sitting in a nice village. They have to build these ugly warehouses. You got to when you're not making the family run, like my parents used to make that family run shopping on Saturday morning. The kids would stay home and clean the house. They'd come back with bags of all different things from different stores. So when they're not doing that, how many more vehicles are on the road? How many more people? And in the materialistic concept, well, we're just making more cars. That's a good thing. Cars are more disposable. Just like I was talking about my neighbor the other day. He's from a culture. It's such a superior culture. Me and Mara were sharing this because Papa Tony's like this too. It's a culture that knew how to fix stuff.
Right.
And we've come from a culture of planned, what do they call it, Mara?
Obsolescence, yeah. Planned obsolescence.
Planned obsolescence. Like that washer and dryer you just bought, there's a plan of when that thing's going to be useless.
And it becomes more expensive to fix it than to go out and get a new one.
Exactly. We've done that with automobiles. You know, we've done no people don't fix stuff anymore.
You know, and
so we got to pay on the other side. There's
more prices to pay, right? Like for instance, say you want to start a shop of your own, like you want to go into business for yourself. You know, you want to open up a bookstore because you're into literature and so on. Well, how are you going to compete with Amazon, right? So rather than having thousands of people across the country that own their own creative bookstores where they put their heart into it, where you walk in there, you feel something, you share something with that individual and have a human exchange, right? You can't compete with them, so now you have to work for them. And now you're working for this, you know, for this huge organization that's just a peon within it, rather than expressing your own creativity, your own individuality, your own drive. And that begins to suck the spirit out of you as well, you know? So now instead of having thousands of creative, dynamic, inspired people, you have thousands of people that are feeling uninspired and depressed and, you know, looking for, you know, desperate for some meaning.
Now I'm fully depressed. I don't want to be, these capitalists are cutthroat. I don't want to be a socialist. What do we do, Kostuba? What do we need? A good monarch again? A good pious monarch?
We need a good pious monarch, but first of all, you need good brahmanas. You need wisdom, you know, injected into our society. And for that, we have the
Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
Because someone will appear from the masses. Someone from Lebanon, an 8-year-old from Lebanon, will appear amongst the ashes. Karuna will take the throne, the peacock throne, and lead us all.
I'm ready for that day.
No, I'm not ready. And there she will find a young man. Marry him. It's all arranged. Karuna, it's all arranged. You can't fight fate. You have to marry my son. Okay.
She's like, no. You see?
He will be.
She feels like she's in one of those Bollywood movies. Oh no, my marriage has been arranged.
Okay, so let's get into the Bhagavatam. What do you say?
Okay.
Hey, we got a big announcement, Mara, don't we?
Yeah, sweet baby Krishna's back. tonight.
All
Sweet Baby Krishna is
right.
back tonight. What time is that, Mara?
8 p.m.
8 p.m. Okay,
8
great.
p.m. Sweet baby Krishna.
All right, 8 p.m. So if you're a Patreon member, you know how to do that. Get on there, Sweet Baby Krishna. And if you're not a Patreon member, patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. This is community supported podcast.
Okay. Thank you.
Narayanam namaskritya nanam chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord, Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttamat shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmadatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Mara, Canto 4.
Yeah, Canto 4, Chapter 7, Text 39.
Text 39.
Who's speaking, Raghunath?
I don't even know what book we're reading. Okay. We offer obeisances to the Supreme Lord. Who is speaking? Let me rewind it. The great mystics.
The great
mystics are speaking.
Yeah.
And they're all glorifying Lord Vishnu, appreciating. We're winding this whole chapter up. This is going to take us to a whole new section, isn't it?
We're about to enter the Dhruva pass. I mean, that's going to just be great stuff.
Famous part of the Bhagavatam. Okay. Text 39. We offer respectful obeisances unto the Supreme, who has created varieties of manifestations and put them under the spell of the three qualities of the material world in order to create, maintain, and annihilate them. He himself is not under the control of the external energy. In his personal feature, he is completely devoid of the variegated manifestation of material qualities, and he is under no illusion of false identification.
So they get that, right? Because the mystics, they're yogis, right? They're practicing yoga, and all of that yoga that they're, and again here, when I think in this context, when we say mystics, we're talking about like Ashtanga yogis. So it's called Yogeshvaras was the word that was used, right? These masters of yoga. And so what is yoga all aimed at? You know, it's aimed, in one sense, you could say it's aimed at steadying the mind, right? All those practices, the yama, the niyama, the asana, the pranayama, the pratyahara, all of that is to go to steady the mind, steady it more and more and more, until you can go into this state of trance called samadhi. But the idea is that the value of when you hit that state of trance within that, and you know, I'm sure there are people that know a lot more about Ashtanga yoga than I know, that could go into some kind of detail. I mean, especially if you had someone that experienced it, right? But my understanding is that in that state, all the programming within our mind, the false programming within the mind, its illusory nature becomes so clear to one in that state of trance, in that state of samadhi.
What was I doing? What was I thinking?
Yeah, it's easy to let go. You become free of it, but all that programming is coming in. It's coming in. You could say from three different forces, three different varieties of energy or programming our minds, and that's what's being referred to here. The three modes of nature, right? The sattva guna, the mode of goodness. Rajaguna, the mode of passion, and tamaguna, the mode of ignorance. That all of our material experience is composed of a blend of these three different influences. And in that state of samadhi, you become free of it. So like the last verse of the Yoga Sutra speaks of this. It says that ultimate liberation is when the gunas, when these three influences, devoid of any purpose for the Purusha, for the self, return to their original latent state. In other words, when the power of consciousness is situated in its own essential nature. Which isn't that an interesting way to phrase it? that when the gunas, devoid of any purpose for the Purusha, they just let go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to take that in.
Well, in other words, what it's saying is that all this programming has a purpose. It's meant to change us. And when we've already been changed, it has no more purpose. It lets us go, right? When we realize who we are, when we no longer are bewildered by the material realm and wanting the things of this world, then those modes let us go and we're free and we're liberated. So this verse is these yogis who have an understanding of all of this, they practice yoga, they get it. They're looking at Lord Vishnu and saying, you're not like all of us down here that are influenced by, actually these modes are your energy, right? You create them. What is it? Daivihesha gunamayi mamamaya duratiya, right? Little Gita there. You know that one, Raghu? Hatsi?
Daivihesha gunamayi mamamaya duratya.
Mameviye
Prapadyante.
mayam
Tarantite.
mayam tang tarantite. Yeah.
7:14.
Which means?
All these material energies, all these material modes are working under me.
Yeah, they're my energy, he says.
They're my energies working under me.
Yeah.
I can't remember the other.
They're very difficult to overcome.
They're difficult to overcome. But one who surrenders unto me, I'm the quick.
Can easily cross beyond them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You more or less got it.
Oh, sorry about that. More or less. It's in there somewhere.
Yeah. So they're recognizing that actually those energies which bewilder us, which bind us, which influence, towards illusion, that you not only are you beyond them, they are your energies and you're free from them. So it says you're completely devoid of the variegated manifestations of the material energy, and you're not under the illusion of false identification. Right, and Prabhupada writes some interesting stuff here in the commentary to this text. Both this text and the next one will speak about the gunas. But Prabhupada writes that in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I appear by my internal potency, right? Not by the three modes. Our bodies are made of the three modes of material nature. Our minds are made of the three modes of material nature. Everything that we're experiencing through the senses is made of these three modes of material nature, and they're all radiating one of three different types of influences, and they all blend to create unlimited varieties of influence. But Krishna says, I appear, my body, myself, is not made of these material energies. They're made of the internal potency, the spiritual energy. He says both the internal and external potencies are under the control of the Supreme. This is what Prabhupada would say. So he does not come under the control of either of these potencies. Rather, everything is under his control. In order to manifest his transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes, these are the objects of our meditation, right? We bring our mind to that spiritual energy. So in order to manifest his transcendental name, form, quality, pastimes, and paraphernalia, he brings into action his internal energy, the spiritual energy, not the three modes. On account of the variegatedness of the external potency, there are manifestations of many qualitative demigods, beginning with Brahma and Lord Shiva, and people are attracted to these demigods according to their own material quality. How they've been influenced by the three modes, they become attracted to a certain deva, and they want something, right?
We don't even have awareness of that. We get attracted to other celebrities, Super Bowl halftime celebrities that give us some type of kickback. We don't even aware. We don't even aware of to worship Chandra or Ganesh.
Right. Yeah.
Continue
Prabhupada goes on, but when one is transcendental or surpasses the material qualities, like we just read about in Yoga Sutras, then they are simply fixed in the worship of the Supreme Personality. Because you're no longer influenced by the modes, you don't want anything of this world. The devas are giving the things of this world. Krishna is giving the spiritual realm. Krishna is giving divine love, right? So this fact is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Anyone engaged in the service of the Lord is already transcendental to the variegatedness and interaction of the three material qualities. You know that one, Raghunath? You know that verse he's alluding to right there? It's a big one.
Explain it one more time.
I'll read it again. This fact is explained in the Bhagavad Gita, that anyone engaged in the service of the Lord is already transcendental to the three modes, to the three qualities.
This is Oh,
You got it. You got it.
14th chapter. 14th chapter.
Yeah.
Last
26th
verse. 14th chapter.
Second to last verse.
Second to last verse. 14th chapter. Give me first word.
Mom.
Give me second word.
Cha.
Mam chayo vyabhacharena bhakti yogena sevate. Booyah!
Yes. Sagunan samitityatan. Brahma bhuyaya kalpate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one who engages in full bhakti. Right. This is it's very interesting here, because what Krishna is saying is that there's a formula for transcending the modes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that formula is full bhakti. When we just read in the Yoga Sutras, when the modes no longer have any business with you, they let go. Right.
So this is the beautiful thing is this is at the end of the 14th chapter, which is all about the gunas, all about what it's like in Rajaguna, what it's like in Tamaguna, what it's like in Sattvaguna, and how we are like puppets in the hands of this material energy. We're practically helpless. What do you do then? What do you do when you're overwhelmed by the conditioning of the material world? There's nothing you can do. And then it climaxes in this point. Actually, those who are engaged in full bhakti, they become free from the modes. You want to get out of the modes? You're sick of being dominated by your tongue, your belly, your genitals. We got a recipe for you.
Devotional service.
Bhakti, devotional service.
Yeah.
You become free from the gunas.
You know who knows that verse is Karuna. She knows that one.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah,
Did I
let's
just
hear
get stumped by an 8-year-old?
Karuna.
Don't do it, Karuna. Unmute her.
Unmute Karuna.
And no looking down. Look straight in my eyes.
Okay, no looking down. We're trying to unmute you. You have to. There you go. Yeah, you can chant the verse.
That one.
Oh, that was with ease.
Yeah, but that was the other verse.
That was the other verse. That was the verse from the previous one that we.
That was
Do
the
you know this?
seventh
Do you know
chapter verse.
14:26? That was 7:14. That was really good.
I don't know any verse from 14. So.
You don't know any verse of 14.
This
okay,
is a
so
good
I
one
still got
from the
one up
14th
on her.
chapter.
I still got one up on you.
Okay.
You know, you got 48 years to catch up, but for now, I'm still up there. I'm still up there, Karuna.
Well done.
She
But
sends
get some shlokas in your head.
It's some slokas in my head. Well, when you ascend the peacock throne, you will be ready.
Okay, she will
All
be
right,
ready.
you're in training now.
Yeah. So So here's the formula, right? As you were saying, the 14 chapters describing these three modes. That every what the Gita will describe and what the broader Vedic literature will describe is that everything that we're encountering in this material world is made of a blend of these three energies. But that one of the energies is prominent in every object, and it's radiating from that object. Its influence is radiating from that object. So when we come in contact with that object, that energy radiates through our senses, and then it begins to influence our minds. And it may influence our mind towards, if it's sattva, if it's sattvic by nature, if it's in the mode of goodness, it influences our mind towards more contentment, peace, and lucid thought, clarity.
Lucidity.
Right? Lucidity. And if we come in contact with a place or a thing or a person that's radiating the Rajaguna, the mode of passion, it influences us to feel a sense of discontentment. I need something that I don't have. I want something that I don't have, right? That's where that goes to our nugget, like if I just had more things, it was just easier to get the things I want, I'll be happy. That's the mode of passion, right? But the third mode is the tamaguna, the mode of darkness, the mode of ignorance, and that leads to a sense of destruction. And so even in this commentary where Prabhupada talks about Brahma and Shiva, because it's Brahma he's responsible for the mode of passion and creation, right? Lord Shiva is responsible for the mode of ignorance or destruction. And it's Vishnu that is responsible for that sattva guna, where that deeper luminosity takes place. But what the verse in the 14th chapter saying, what Prabhupada's alluding to in this commentary, is that the modes of material nature, as the Yoga Sutras are saying, they have a purpose. They may bring us pleasure, they may bring us pain, but they're meant to be pushing us, nudging us forward toward the idea that I'm not finding happiness through Amazon Prime. I'm not finding happiness through the things of this world. I need to let go of that, and I need to reconnect with my source. And when you decide I want to reconnect, that's called bhakti. And when you practice bhakti, you transcend those modes. So again, that verse, one who engages in full devotional service, one who engages fully in bhakti, unfailing in all circumstances, when you're fully connected, they at once transcend the modes of material nature, and they come to the level of Brahman. Brahman means the spiritual energy, the energy that's not composed of these three modes, the energy that's not illusory by nature, the energy that doesn't bring you pain, but the energy that we are made of, spirit.
We have the false concept of freedom and free will in culture. And when you start to dive into like this 14th chapter and the idea of the gunas, we start to realize that our freedom is not free at all. And you can always see these things when you point out an extreme. So if you point out like someone who's addicted to alcohol or addicted to a drug, they're saying, well, I'm just doing whatever I want, but you're not. You're actually owned by that thing.
Others can see it. You can't see it.
If you're addicted by sex, then you're owned by fulfilling that hit of sexual fulfillment. If you're owned by alcohol, then you become possessed by the very thing you're attached to. And in bhakti, the first thing we do is we control all those senses, and then we can start work on. And that's why we have these regulative principles or yamas and niyamas to pull everything in first. Now, here's a question was put on the board, Kastuba. Not that I was reading the board.
No, of course not.
It was texted to me. What happens when you become free of the modes? We talk about, become free of the modes, surrender to Krishna, surrender to Bhakti, you become free from those modes. Then what happened? You just float around town? You're like a kite with a string cut?
Well, that's a really good question, and there are two conceptions within Vedanta, right? Of the two schools of philosophy, of philosophers, practitioners who are drawing from these Vedic sources, from the Vedas, from the Upanishads, from the Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita, and ultimately from the Puranas and Bhagavatam. There's two different conceptions of what that means, and there's a debate about that. There's a lot of agreement. But when it comes to that final conclusion, this what we call the siddhanta, right, the end of the knowledge, there's some disagreement. So some believe that when you actually become free from these modes, you realize not only am I spirit, this is the Vedic aphorism, right? Aham brahmasmi, right, and from the Upanishads, that I am not made of these three modes of material nature. Aham brahmasmi, I am Brahman, I am spirit. Now the question is, what does that mean, right? And that's where the different divergent schools of Vedanta will debate.
Well, even beyond the debate, Kastuba, what does it practically mean? Like, what does it mean when I wake up, but I'm free from the gunas? What does it mean when I go to work and I'm free with the gunas? What does it mean raising a kid, going on vacation, taking my kids to the Grand Canyon? What does that mean if the gunas are no longer controlling me?
Well, it means that I'm acting with and through the realization that I am Brahman, right? That I am spirit. So that means that I don't have a sense of false identity that's been created through these modes of material nature, right? Let's say you're a person that's primarily, especially influenced by the mode of passion, by the Rajaguna. So it means like you have a drive to get what you don't have. And it's likely beyond just and that manifests as desires within the impulsive mind. I want this, I want that. When I get this, I'll be happy. When I get that, I'll be happy. But beyond that, there's another portion of the mind called the ego, the ahankara. And there resides our sense of identity. Who am I? And that sense of identity is going to be tied into those desires as well, right? Like, I'm a dynamic guy that goes out and gets what I want, and also it's like what exactly you want also is tied into your identity. Like I want, some people like, I want the sophisticated, things in life. I want classical music and, a penthouse apartment. And someone else, and they identify with that, right? I'm a sophisticated, successful person. And another person has a different sense of identity that's tied to different sense, different set of desires. Like, I'm a down to earth guy, right? I want a hamburger and a pickup truck, and and I'm not interested in the classical music. I'm interested in the country music or the rock and roll. You know what I'm saying? So you have this false sense of identity, and you have desires that are programmed all by these modes. These three modes of material nature have provided you all that programming, the wants, as well as the sense of identity. When we become free from the influence of the modes of material nature, you realize these wants, they're just programming within my mind. They don't make me happy. I don't need them. I can let go of them. And even the false sense of identity, you realize this isn't me, right? Like for instance, like Raghunath, you could think like, apparently you're like male, right?
Apparently.
Yeah.
That's what I'm identifying with today, anyway.
Yeah, but and apparently, you're from a certain nation, and apparently, you all these things that are just blends of the material energies. We tend to identify with it, but you can still be within that body, but not be of that body. You could realize that, even I have a role to play, say as a father. I have a role to play, in the world. You can play that role, but all along knowing that I'm just passing through this world in this particular vehicle at this particular time, but I am spirit. And the truth is, the eternal truth, that's not going to disappear after a few quick years, right? That eternal truth is I'm connected to God. And so therefore my mind goes there. My mind goes to my connection to God. I'm able to let go of my material desires. As the verse was saying, when one's fully engaged in bhakti, then they transcend the three modes. I'm no longer pulled by these modes. Even I learn how to operate in such a way where they're working for me. Like I'm going to use the sattva guna to help facilitate, my ability for lucid thought, to make good decisions. But ultimately, because I want all my decisions to be in connection with that divine source, and now you're operating under the Daivi. What is it? What's the other verse? That they're under the divine energy. That's slipping my mind now, right now, but in any case.
In Bhakti, I just
Daiva and Prakritim Ashatam. That's it. Daiva and Prakritim Ashatam. They're under the shelter of the spiritual energy, not the three modes.
So it's like the gunas are there sort of to really, they're not the enemies. They're there sort of like the drill sergeant to sort of whip us into shape. Now, if you have like this quintessential archetype of a drill sergeant who's like, Kostuba, give me 25 push-ups right now, and like drop and give me 25. And Kostuba's got to do the push-ups, and then it's like, you don't salute your sergeant, and you go, I'm sorry, or and he's looking at your boots, they're not shiny enough. Drop and give me 25. So the idea of that drill sergeant is trying to like make you impeccable, and make you like follow every rule and regulation, so you fit into that a mold of what they need, maybe in the armed services. And all the drilling they're giving you is to sort of like to break that sort of like independent will.
Yeah.
Now the gunas do this; they break us down. And in a mood of rebellion, I'm always resenting the gunas or that drill sergeant. Why this is so unfair? And what happens within that paradigm? I'm falling in love. I'm getting my heart broken. I'm pursuing some type of pleasure. It could be shopping. It could be sensual pleasure, and it's not really fulfilling me. And I think, well, maybe I just did it wrong. Maybe I got to go to a different restaurant, order a different meal, go with a different person, wear different clothes, be a part of a different subculture. And then I would be a little bit more satisfied. And so we spend our life sort of like rats in a maze, going from culture to culture, subculture to subculture, hairdo to hairdo, clothing, looks, my new look. After and try to like work our way within the gunas to find something lasting. But it's not going to be found there. The actual gunas are working under Krishna, for us. Yeah. They're not the enemy. They're for us. They're to get us in shape so we can become liberated. And so when we do feel that loss, or we do feel a frustration with some type of a material inclination, we realize this is not actually what I need. I don't need anything from, there is no set of circumstances within the material realm that is going to satisfy my heart. I have to take this to the next level. I've got to take this to the spiritual level. So the gunas aren't the enemies, but within them, we will always feel sort of tied up. Someone's, it's just like fighting a jiu-jitsu guy is just much better than me. They got my ankle, they got my wrist, they're choking me out. They got me in a head. It's just a one move after another. I just can't escape this. And then finally we become free and we can actually just walk away. And we see, all those gunas were to train me to be free.
Well, earlier in that 14th chapter, Krishna speaks about the influence of each of those modes, right? He says to Arjuna, the mode of goodness being purer than the others is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. It frees one from bad karma. When you're decision making in the mode of goodness, you're making decisions that don't bring pain, right? He says those situated in the mode of goodness become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. He says that the mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings. And because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive activities. So the mode of passion, in a sense, it's a state of suffering. It's a state of longing. It's a state of wanting, And he says that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. Right. So what the yogi does is they say, first I need to move myself towards sattvaguna, right? I need to recognize, I need to let go of destructive decision making, destructive habits, destructive association, and I need to begin to also, and so I need to free myself from the influence of the tamaguna. That becomes easier when I situate myself in places and with people and eating food and listening to music, etc. That's not tamasic, right? It's going to be much harder to try to free myself from tamaguna when I go to the bar every night, And then I need to free myself from the mode of passion, which means I need to begin to recognize that my happiness isn't tied to anything external, that my happiness can be here in a simple way. I don't need all of the things that I think I need, which again ties into the nugget of the day. And then when you're situated in the sattvaguna, then you become more lucid and clear. And it's from the platform of sattvaguna, from the platform of mode of goodness, that one can transcend all the modes, right? One can begin the practice of yoga. One rises early. One focuses one's mind. One has peace. And in that peace, you can bring your mind to those powerful sources of spiritual energy in the form of sacred text, in the form of sacred mantras, in the form of sacred form, it's sacred places, all these powerful spiritual influences not only will our interest in them become like magnetic, right? Like we actually become really strongly attracted to it, but they will transform us. They will purify the mind, purify the senses. And then we can begin to practice true devotional service, free from those three gunas. And going back to the earlier question, what does that look like in this life? It looks like I'm not rocked by the external situations. Whatever comes my way, I have a steadiness within that's not rocked, right? Even though my externals are in a state of flux, I'm steady. And it means that I can recognize the steadiness that's within me. I can see that it's within every living being, whether they've realized it or not, that we are of the same spiritual energy. We are all Brahman. We are all beyond these modes, and that will affect the way that I treat others. That will affect what I expect or demand of others. It'll free me from associating with others based on my own wants or my own ignorance. So it'll manifest in so many ways, but ultimately, what it'll manifest in is if within that state of when those modes let us loose. If in that state, within that space, if we practice hearing Bhagavatam, if we practice chanting Mahamantra, if our goal and our focus is on Sri Krishna, like the origin of it all, then what will manifest in that space is Krishna Prema, because that's our nature, and that our nature will come. Right? Divine love is where it goes.
I like that.
All right.
I like that. Divine love is where it goes. That's my takeaway today. Mara?
Okay.
Oh, that
She's gonna add it right now.
All right. What do you got there? Karuna's takeaway is Raj is better than Tamas. Better is Sattva, and still better is transcendental state.
There
Thank you, Karuna.
Thank you, Karuna. Are you ending the show early? Is that what you're doing right now, Regla?
Oh no, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
It's only okay. No, for some reason, I guess Mara wrote takeaways, and I was like, it's the end. All right.
She does that every day.
She does do that.
Oh
yeah, it's just thinking about, we've been talking about astrology and astrologers, and Drew Lawrence is going to come back on the show, but the astrology just deals with you and your gunas. What are you going to do with you and your gunas, you and your karma?
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes the karma doesn't necessarily change, but it trains us. How am I going to react? I mean, we're all hoping for good karma. We're all hoping for good luck. We're all hoping for I'm entering a strong, period in my life. But the fact is, we are training not to sort of change out what's going on out there. We're really in training to change how we're going to deal with what we get. And are we going to deal with it in a noble way? Or am I going to go back to my old defaults, which cause havoc on myself and oftentimes other people as well?
That is the Brahminical. We've been talking about having Brahminical influence in society, right?
Yeah.
So Brahminical influence means it's influence coming from the Sattva guna. It means that there's an adult in the room. It means that decision making isn't being made. Stereotypically, if you just allow a child to eat whatever they want, right? You just set them loose in the store. They're probably going to come back with a lot of food that's not healthy, right? They'll come back with like a lot of sugary stuff. But the adult in the room says, no, if you eat that way, you're not going to be happy. But actually, there's healthy food, and if you just prepare it the right way, that'll be really satisfying too, And so that's that sattvic influence, right?
I love that concept. If there's an adult in the room,
there's just no adult in the room.
There's no adults in the room.
There's just no adults.
I'm looking at the faces here on Zoom. You need an adult in the room. Cindy Lunsford, you need an adult in the room. Get out. Lori Pag, is there an adult in the house? What are you doing here? Sitting on the couch, just listening to TV at 5 a.m, 6 a.m. Okay, no, you guys are all good. You're all waking up early, listening to the Bhagavatam. We're trying to become adults here. We're trying to become responsible and make good choices here. All right, we have time for one more.
Yeah, one more.
The personified Vedas. This is a weird concept. There's the Vedas personified, and they're going to speak.
Yeah, and that means, what are the Vedas?
What does that mean?
Well, specifically, we're talking about the 4 Vedas, right? So There's 4 Vedas.
4 of them.
There's 4 of them, and these are the books from Vyasadeva, the great sage who compiled all the broader Vedic literature. These are the books that he wrote that deal especially with being a good, pious, religious person and cultivating good karma as a goal in life. Right? Not the highest yogic aspiration. But they know, they speak of sacrifice, they speak of cultivation of virtue, but the purpose of that virtue and the purpose of that sacrifice is to enjoy the things of this world. So, but in one sense, it's very impressive. One sense, it's very controlled, and it's very noble, and it's very dharmic. And so, though these personified Vedas are people, you could imagine they're priests, right? And they embody the Vedic knowledge, and now they're going to speak.
Yeah, how do they look like? What are the personified Vedas?
I think they look like Brahmanas. That's.
I thought I alwa's picture them to be.
They look like books,
like angels,
like a big book with arms and legs walking around.
Sort of like a Vedic SpongeBob. Personified Vedas said, "We offer our respectful obeisances." Was that offensive? Forgive me if it was. Please, I'm going to say a prayer to the personified Vedas. Please forgive me. I didn't mean a Vedic SpongeBob. I meant a book with legs and arms. The personified Vedas said, "We offer our respectful obeisances unto you, the Lord, the shelter of the quality of goodness, and therefore the source of all dharma, austerity, and penance. For you are transcendental to all the material qualities, and no one knows you or your actual situation, right? Impossible to fully know, right?
Yes. So they mention, again, you are the shelter of the quality of goodness. And that's Vishnu, right? Shiva is the shelter of the tamaguna, the mode of darkness. Brahma is the shelter of the rajaguna, the mode of passion. But they're looking at Vishnu right now. And they're saying, Vishnu, you are the shelter of the mode of goodness, and therefore the source of... Now, what manifests in that mode of goodness? Religion, austerity, and penance, right? This is what the yogis and the priests practice, right? These are part of that sattvic lifestyle. So they say, for you are transcendental to all material qualities. You are transcendental to all the gunas, and no one knows you for your actual situation. Why don't we read the purport to this?
Sure. Text 40.
Sure. Oh, text 40 purport. Oh, I see. You're pulling it up.
In the material world, there is the trinity of the three material qualities. Lord Vishnu has accepted the superintendence of the quality of goodness, which is the source of dharma, knowledge, austerity, renunciation, opulence, etc. Because of all this, actual peace, prosperity, knowledge, and dharma can be attained when the living entities are under the control of the quality of goodness in the material world. As soon as they are subjected to the control of the other two qualities, namely passion and ignorance, their precarious conditional life becomes intolerable. Check. But Lord Vishnu, in his original position, is always nirguna. Means without, which means transcendental to these material qualities. Guna means quality, and nir means like negation. This does not, however, indicate, however, that he has no qualities, right? Because sometimes people will say, well, it says the Lord is nirguna. He has no qualities. He is a nothingness. He is a cloud, right? But he's not. No, it just means he has no material qualities. He has transcendental qualities by which he appears and manifests his pastimes. The positive transcendental qualitative manifestation is unknown to the students of the Vedas, as well as to the great stalwart demigods like Brahma and Shiva. Actually, the transcendental qualities are manifested only to the devotees. As confirmed in the Gita, simply by discharging bhakti, one can understand the transcendental position of the Lord.
That's the verse that was the same one, 1426. Right?
Those who are in the mode of goodness can partially enter into the transcendental understanding, but it is advised in the Gita that one has to surpass this. So we're not even trying to get to goodness, we're trying to surpass it. The Vedic principles are based on these three qualities of the material modes. One has to transcend the three qualities, and then one can be situated in pure and simple spiritual life.
Okay. So as long as we're influenced by, it's saying here that even those that are following the teachings of the four Vedas for a materialistic purpose, they can't know the ultimate truth, right? They're still going to be bewildered because they're still under the influence of these modes, even the mode of goodness, right? But through bhakti, bhakti is a declaration, right? That I'm going to use my body, my mind, my words, all to reconnect to my divine source. I don't want illusion anymore. I accept and embrace the reality that I am an emanation of that supreme divine spiritual energy who is a person, right?
Are you ready for this? The takeaway of the day?
Okay.
Bhakti is the ultimate, get ready, Mara. Bhakti is the ultimate declaration of independence.
Oh, okay. Well, but is it? Or is it a declaration of one's dependence on our source?
Okay, let's rethink that one. Declaration.
It's a declaration of one's dependence.
Declaration of one's complete dependence.
Okay.
On Lord Vishnu instead of the dependence on the gunas and the senses.
Okay.
I'm going to rework that for tomorrow's takeaway. Let's try that.
Okay, let's rework that.
I was really inspired there for a moment. Go on.
I think that's it. We're ready for takeaways.
Oh, that's it. Mara, give me a takeaway.
Sure. We need an adult in the room to wake us up and inject wisdom in society.
Inject us.
When we want bhakti instead of the things of this world, the gunas will liberate us.
Liberate us.
Gunas are the drill sergeants to whip us into shape.
Drill sergeant. Whip us.
Understanding the gunas is the first step of transcending them.
Step on us.
There is no set of material circumstances that will satisfy my heart.
Satisfy us.
Realize our internal intrinsic steadiness and see it in others.
Steady us.
See it.
Divine love is where it goes.
Love us.
Train in how to deal with what we get.
Train us.
And the last one's also from Karuna. Get some shlokas in your head, Raghu.
Get some shlokas in your head, Raghu.
In my head. Marry my son and then we'll talk shlokas.
Okay.
Oh. Woo! Another day of Srimad Bhagavatam's sweet, sweet nectar. Could drink this all day long, but instead I'm going to talk to the plumber again. Because my septic is still... I'm dealing with the septic of material existence right now. And it ain't pretty, Kastuba.
I bet. Very analogous to life in general.
The septic, the clogged septic of material existence. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We did it again. Another day of hearing the Bhagavatam, the way to start up your day on the right foot. Transcending the Gunas. We have a whole group here who joined us live. We love you, all you Zoomers. If you want to join us on Zoom, go to wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. Write Mara to get the secret codes to enter into our little tribe. Also, there's a more exclusive tribe called the Patreon Party, which happens tonight. Patreon is a whole backlog of all these classes, of episodes, classes, workshops, yoga classes, etc. And all you do is give a donation of your choice every month. Patreon.com/Wisdom of the Sages, and you can be part of that party, including what time tonight do we have Sweet Baby Krishna?
8 p.m.
8 p.m. Me and Meryl will be there for Sweet Baby Krishna tonight. We'll join you. And this is the way to wind down your day. Oh, much better than Narcos or any other thing you're going to watch on. I went to bed watching Narcos last night.
I had a feeling you did.
I mean, just full confession here. But I fell asleep. I fell asleep in the middle of the night. I'm waking up to like violence, murder. It wasn't good. I'm still using the excuse of, I really want to understand Colombian culture and history. Mm-hmm. That's going to wear out soon.
Okay.
Because the next season is, we're going to Mexico. Okay. Anyway, thanks for everybody for joining us. Now is the time to sing, we dance, we chant, and we try to apply this stuff to our day today. Hands in the air, everybody.